All right, let's get it. Genesis 6, y'all. Bereshit 6.
You say verse 5?
Verse 5.
Bereshit, chapter 6, verse 5. Then Yahuwah saw the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every intent of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And Yahuwah was sorry that he had made man on the earth, and he was grieved in his heart. So Yahuwah said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, creeping thing, and birds of the air, for I am sorry that I have made them. But Noach found grace in the eyes of Yahuwah.
So Noach found Hen. That's why Noach made it on the ark. Let's keep reading. Why did he find Hen in the eyes of Yahuwah? Let's keep reading. Because we're talking about making it on the ark. Making it in the ark is important, y'all, because when you make it in the ark, that means you'll be in a place where you're preserved from the calamity that's about to come on the earth. You see here, Yahuwah saw that the intentions of the man's heart was evil continually, and he said, I'm a white man from the face of the earth. I'm going to cause a calamity to happen on the earth. That's where we're at today. The Most High is looking at the ways of the nations, the ways of the heathen, and he's going to cause judgment to happen on the earth because of this. So at this time, they didn't have a nation of Israel at this time. But there was a bloodline. And you got this bloodline of people that were Kodesh to Yahuwah. Go to Genesis 5 real quick. That's why Genesis 5 happened before Genesis 6, because Yahuwah wanted to solidify this about this bloodline of righteous people. Go ahead and start with verse 1. We're just going to read a little bit to skim through it.
Genesis chapter 5, verse 1. This is the book of the genealogy of Adam.
So this is about the sons of Adam, or son of man. Because Adam actually is man. Sometimes, see, in English, sometimes they'll say Adam, sometimes they'll say man, but then when you look into Hebrew, it's Adam still. Son of Adam, son of man. Do y'all know the title son of man is literally son of Adam? It's literally what it is in Hebrew. Ezekiel was called son of man, son of Adam. Yahushua was called a son of Adam. It's declaring he's coming from the specific bloodline. We just thinking, oh, he's a son of a human being. No, there's something very specific about this. Go ahead, read real quick.
In the day that Eluah created man, he made him in the likeness of Eluah. He created them male and female, and blessed them and called them mankind in the day they were created. And Adam lived 130 years and begot a son in his own likeness, after his image, and named him Seth. After he begot Seth, the days of Adam were 800 years, and he had sons and daughters. So all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. Seth lived 105 years and begot Enosh. After he begot Enosh, Seth lived 807 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Seth were 912 years, and
read
he died.
Verse 2 again.
Verse 2, and he created them, male and female, and blessed them, and called them mankind in the day that they were created.
So that word mankind is Adam, y'all, just to put things in a perspective. So it's hard to see this stuff when you just read it in English. He said he created them and called them Adam. All right, keep going from where you was at.
Verse 9, Enosh lived 90 years and begot Canaan. After he begot Canaan, Enosh lived 815 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Enosh were 905 years.
Skip to verse 26.
Verse 26, after he begot Lamech, Methuselah lived 782 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. Lamech lived 182 years and had a son. And he called his name Noach, saying, "This one will comfort us concerning our work and the toil of our hands, because of the ground which Yahuwah has cursed." After he begot Noach, Lamech lived 595 years, and he had sons and daughters. So all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. And Noach was 500 years old, and Noach begot Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
How old was Noah when he had Ham, Shem, and Japheth?
500 years.
That makes sense to y'all after what we've been talking about in Pesach? Y'all remember what we talked about in first fruits? About the number 550, 500. It's a jubilee. He was 500 when he birthed the people that were going to what? That were going to be the restoration of the earth. That were going to be those three sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth, were going to be used to basically, Yahuwah was going to start all over with them. Y'all know the Most High didn't start all over with Noah in a sense. Noah didn't have any more children after. I mean, he did start all over with Noah, but what I'm saying is, after the flood, the start all over happened through Ham, Shem, and Japheth, though. Noah didn't have any more children after the flood. So he was 500 when they had them. That was a sign. He was 500. That was a sign of redemption, restoration. The restoration of land, remember? That's Jubilee, the restoration of land, getting your ancestral land back. All right, keep that in mind. So the point is that Genesis 5 establishes a bloodline, a specific bloodline of people that were Kodesh to Yahuwah, generally speaking. I think there might have been some exceptions. I think there might have been a couple of people that might not have been 100, but for the most part, that's the specific bloodline. This is the generation of the people that were Kodesh to Yahuwah, the sons of Adam. So then we get to chapter 6, and it goes into the wickedness of mankind. But you had one person who found grace in the eyes of Yahuwah. Now, when you read chapter 5, you notice all the other people before Noah have died by this time. Then you got Noah and his family. By the time we get to this point. So it said in verse 8 that, what does it say in verse 8?
Verse 8, but Noah found grace in the eyes of Yahuwah.
So why did Noah find grace in the eyes of Yahuwah? Keep reading.
Verse 9, this is the genealogy of Noah.
Now it goes right into the bloodline of Noah. Y'all get it? Keep going.
Noah was a just man, perfect in his generations.
So he was a just man, which means he was, I think it was Zadok, or Zadek might be what it says. I don't remember. But it basically means he was righteous. Is that it? Yeah. So through perfect. And he was perfect, tamim, in his generations. So he had a redeemed bloodline. Oh, snap. Think about it. Why would the prerequisite for getting on the ark be that he has to have a pure bloodline and be righteous? The great calamity coming. Nah, we don't know when. We don't know. Noah can't know when. He ain't had no idea. He just knew it was coming, though. And the Most High was through for his whole bloodline. The Most High had. So the flood didn't happen until everybody on that in chapter 5 had already died off. Even Methuselah. Oh, what is Methuselah? Y'all remember Grandma used to say that? Didn't none of them get swept in the flood from that bloodline? The Most High waited till they passed away. And then he started the process, and then Noah and them made it onto the ark. He let the elders pass away first, though. Because I know the question is, well, how come didn't none of them make it on the ark? Yahuwah waited to the appointed time before the rain even came down. They was already, you know what I'm saying? And he started all over with Noah and his house. Okay. Now let's skip to read verse 14.
Genesis chapter 6, verse 14. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood. Make rooms in the ark and cover it inside and outside with pitch. And this is how you shall make it. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits. Its width 50 cubits.
So we'll stop there. So basically, the Most High gave him the specific requirements on instructions on how to build the ark. And then he went and had to build the ark. It's just like the tabernacle. Yahuwah gave the specific instructions and the measurements and everything to Moshe on how to build the ark. And then Moshe went and built the ark, right? They had to build the ark. The ark had to be built. I know that seems ABC. I know that seems simple. But for some reason, we got some people that think they just need to keep Torah without building nothing, and they're going to make it on the ark. You know that you can just kind of lay down and watch TV, and in a lot of ways you could just be you could just be within the lines of Torah. Well, I'm not going out. I'm keeping Torah. No, it's work involved. Could y'all imagine how much work it took for Noah to build the ark? Could you imagine how much work it took for Moshe and his people and the nation to build the tabernacle? Because remember, we talked about it. The tabernacle was the ark. Go back to chapter 5 real quick. Genesis 5. No, it's chapter 6. My apologies. No. Dang, my bad. It was the scriptures when he talked about when he cursed the ground. No, it was either 5 or 6. I'm going to find it real quick.
Was it 5? Yeah.
Told everybody.
Yeah, that's it.
Chapter 5, verse 29. So let's look at this. Read it one more time. Verse 29.
Genesis chapter 5, verse 29. And he called his name Noah, saying, this one will comfort us concerning our work and the toil of our hands, because of the ground which Yahuwah has cursed.
So remember, Yahuwah cursed the ground. Did Adam have to build his ark? Remember, the Garden of Eden was like an ark. He had to work in the ark, but he ain't had to build the ark. Yahuwah took him and placed him in the garden, didn't he? But then the curse came to where you had to work now.
Right.
And so things is a little different now. And so right after all that happened, you see this was mentioned here. That's why it was mentioned here that his name was Noah. And they were saying that the reason why his name was Noah was because he will comfort us concerning our work and the toil of our hands because of the ground which Yahuwah has cursed. And so Noah was different. He had to build the ark. He had to build it. Then you see the same thing with Moshe. Moshe had to build the tabernacle. It was a lot of work. It was so much work that he had to put in, make sure that they don't work on the Shabbat. Yahuwah put in the Torah a law that I know y'all building the tabernacle, but don't kindle no fire on the Shabbat. Make sure you keep the Shabbat. Make sure you rest on the Shabbat though. We're talking about making it on the ark. So now we get into the Torah portion. So the Torah portion was Vayikra 16, and that goes into Yom Kippur, right? Yom Kippur is about making it on the ark, isn't it? This whole Torah portion is about the things that are needed in order to make it on the ark. Noah was just, he was righteous, he was tamim, and he was pure in his bloodline. He had to redeem the cleansed bloodline. Chapter 16 started off with a Torah that was given after Nadab and Abihu was killed because fire came out from the Most High. And so Yom Kippur is the time when the bridegroom, the high priest, Aharon's sons, the sons of Yahusha, the sons of the high priest, where one of them, the high priest, goes into the Holy of Holies, goes into the womb. That's the belly of the tabernacle, the womb. That's the belly of the tabernacle. And I believe, and I really don't believe it's by chance that the ark is in there. Because the belly of the tabernacle, that's the womb, the house. And the ark is the house. So on Noah's ark, they were inside the ark. The ark, he had to build it. It was made of 3 sections, just like the tabernacle was made of 3 sections. He had to go inside it. Yahuwah closed the door. And it was like he was in the midst of the ark. It was like he was in the belly of the ark. And in there he was covered. When the floods of water came, it destroyed everybody else, but they were through because he was in the ark. He was in the heart of the tabernacle in a sense. He was moving as a priest. The same thing was the case. The same thing with the ark. You see similar situation in where? In Yom Kippur. Because what happens, there's a whole process of different things that the high priest does. And it's surrounding animals. And then he goes into the Holy of Holies, and what it does is it preserves the nation. It covers the nation so that they won't be hit by calamity. It preserves the nation from calamity, basically. It kafars them, the whole nation. Because Aharon, the bridegroom, going into the ark, he represents the whole nation. Did y'all know that's why that's such a big deal with the high priest? He represents the whole nation of Israel. When he goes, it's as if the whole nation of Israel made it into the ark. You get it? We know that because that's why he wears the 12 tribes on his chest, because he bears the iniquities of the nation, of the whole nation, all 12 tribes. A huge role. Yahusha represents the whole nation of Israel, the high priest. It's the same thing. So, the high priest does the rituals, what he does the Azazel goat or the scapegoat and the other goat. He does those different things. And nobody's allowed to be in there when he's doing this, because really he is the nation. And he goes in there and atones for the sins of the whole nation. That one day a year. We talked about this last year, but Yom Kippur it's like a seed going into the womb. It's a conception happening there. It's the only time out of the year where the bridegroom goes into the womb. Y'all get it? The only time of the year when the bridegroom goes into the womb. That's a conception. That can only happen one time a year. Now, the bridegroom can go into the bride every day. Actually, that's the symbolic of the high priest going into the holy place. That's every day, right? According to Torah, the bridegroom goes into the holy place every day. But it's only one time a year that the bridegroom actually goes into the womb. It's only one time a year that the bridegroom can actually conceive, is what I'm saying. Married folks, y'all know there's been times where y'all, you're trying, and Most High gives it up, puts it on y'all to be with child. And I know y'all know that because we have our praise to the Most High, a fruitful assembly. We have several in here who are be bringing forth new life soon, and we even had one of the Akim, who just brought one forth yesterday. So we know, the process of trying, right? But you can be trying every day, but it's only one time that the bridegroom is actually going to make it into the womb to conceive. And that is Yom Kippur. So conception is 40 weeks. That's at number 40. I know it varies, but they say a full-time term pregnancy is 40 weeks. So if you count it 9 months, 40 weeks from Yom Kippur, it'll land right on the second Pesach. Y'all remember that? So if you count 9 months, 40 weeks from Yom Kippur, you will make it right on the second Pesach. It's the 14th day of the second month, according to Bamidbar chapter 9. The second Pesach is all about the second Exodus. The second Pesach is all about regathering of Israel from the four corners of the earth. It's all about Jubilee. It's all about Israel being regathered from the four corners and being brought back into their land, to their own inheritance. Noah had Ham, Shem, and Japheth when he was 500 years old. That's Jubilee. Y'all know where you going, what you need. Okay, just wait. 500 years old. I'm saying that because that's my son. Now, if anybody else, But 500 years old. So that's the thank you, Grandma. Thank you. That's Jubilee. I'm trying to gather my thoughts again. Okay, yeah. So Ham, Shem, and Japheth, when they got off of the boat, when they got off of the ark, Yahuwah, one of the first things the Most High did was allotted to them land. He allotted to them territories. There was supposed to be a territory of Shem, a territory of Ham, territory of Japheth. That's why when you can look it up, you'll see that in Genesis 10. So the Noah story ends in Genesis 9. I think it's Genesis 11, ain't it? Genesis 11? No, it's Genesis 10. Genesis 10. The Noah story ends at Genesis 9. Then the next chapter, it goes into Ham, Shem, and Japheth and his bloodline and the regions that they inhabited. You get what I'm saying? The provinces. So y'all get what I'm saying? That's Jubilee. So that's why it's important to understand that, because when you read about the promised land that Yahuwah was given to the Israelites, and then you read Joshua, and the Most High's like, yeah, I know there's already people living there. Go in there and take them all out. People who don't understand, who's reading it from a service, like, oh man, there's people already living there. They still in land. That's not right. The Most High is okay in Israel to go and steal land from these people. No. That was originally the land of Shem. That was originally the land of Shem. That was the territory allotted to Shem when he got off of the ark. So that's a restoration that was happening. A lot of times when Yahuwah restores people back to their rightful place, he has to drive out a people that's already there. He has to drive out not only does he have to drive out the people, but the principalities and the ruach associated with those people. Right. Moving. So we're gonna keep this. I'm trying to keep this pretty short today, so we're gonna kind of skim through the rest. But so we got Yom Kippur, okay? Then chapter 17, it goes into the about blood and not eating blood. It goes into so this is important. About shedding blood. If you kill an animal, bring it to the tabernacle. A place where Israel can bring their sacrifices. Is basically saying that don't bring your sacrifices just anywhere. So verse 5, it says, Leviticus 17, verse 5, it says, to the end that the children of Israel may bring their sacrifices, which they offer in the open field, that they may bring them to Yahuwah at the door of the tabernacle of meeting, to the priests, and offer them as shalom offerings to Yahuwah. It's basically a Torah saying, you can't sacrifice anywhere. You bring your sacrifices up to this centralized location. That's how you're making it on the ark. You're not sacrificing to other aluas. You're sacrificing to Yahuwah. Then Leviticus 18. So Leviticus 17. I want y'all to keep this in mind. This is the Torah portion. It starts off with Yom Kippur, right? Then chapter 17 goes into the laws around blood. Not eating blood because the blood has the life in it, and also shedding blood of the animals a specific way when it comes to a sacrifice. Then you got Leviticus 18. Then Leviticus 18 goes into all the different things that you are not supposed to do as far as it goes with, Leviticus 18, as far as it goes with between a man and a woman. It also goes into what not to do between the same as well, but it's in the context of laying with somebody. You're not supposed to do that with your sister, not supposed to do that with your brother, not supposed to do, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Leviticus 18 basically is telling you what sexual immorality means. In the New Testament, they summarize Leviticus 18 by just saying sexual immorality. You get it? All right. Then Leviticus 19. It goes into a lot of Torahs around loving your brother, loving your neighbor, reverencing your mother and father. Go to Acts 15. Acts 15. Let me know when y'all there. All right. Everybody there? Let's start with verse 1.
Acts 15, verse 1. And certain men came down from Judea and taught the brethren, unless you are circumcised according to the custom of Moshe, you cannot be saved.
So we thought that saved meant, like going to the Shamayim. And, I'm not saying that's not an aspect of it, making it to the kingdom in a sense. But saved really, a lot of time, really what it's talking about being saved from your enemies. Basically making it on the ark. That's basically what this is about. Keep going, verse 2.
Verse 2. Therefore, when Shaul and Barnabas had no small dissension and dispute with them, they determined that Shaul and Barnabas and certain others of them should go up to Jerusalem to the apostles and elders about this question.
Okay, so listen, y'all. Do y'all see this? So you had some Israelites come and they said they were teaching that, man, no, you're not making it on the ark unless without being circumcised. You cannot be saved. Did Paul and Barnabas say, oh, you're wrong? You're wrong because the law's done away with and circumcision is it doesn't matter anymore. You're wrong. How did Paul and Barnabas respond? It wasn't an easy situation, wasn't it? It wasn't no quick thing. They had first it said that they were arguing with each other about it. They didn't agree. They were like, man, I don't know, because they probably did mid-ration with each other. Yeah, but right here, but I don't know. So then they had to, they decided to go up to Jerusalem. They had to take it up to the highest level. That's how controversial this was. We were taught in church like it was just a simple thing. Like even Paul was like, man, I don't know. They didn't know. They had to take it up to the council to the highest level. They traveled all the way to Jerusalem to try to figure this thing out. So, keep going.
Verse 3. So being sent on their way by the assembly, they passed through Phoenicia and Samaria, describing the conversion of the Gentiles. And they caused great joy to all the brethren.
That's how you know they were probably talking about the northern kingdom when they said Gentiles, because Samaria was literally the capital of the northern kingdom.
That's correct.
Like, Samaria was not the land of the Gentiles, like what we think. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, it could be both because Phoenicia is, though, generally speaking. Let's keep going.
And when they had come to Jerusalem, they were received by the assembly and the apostles and the elders, and they reported all things that Elua had done with them. But some of the sect of the Pharisees who believed rose up, saying, it is necessary to circumcise them.
Some of the sect of the Pharisees who what?
Who believed.
Who what?
Who believed.
So this ain't the wicked Pharisees. I don't know why people read this and they automatically assume because it says Pharisees that these are the ones who was like rejecting Yahusha. No.
Wow.
They were part of the assembly. You have Pharisees that were part of the Kodesh assembly. You had people like Nicodemus, and he was not the only one. He was just one mention.
Right. Wow.
We got to understand, y'all, all the apostles followed the doctrines of the Pharisees. They did. Peter, all them. The Pharisees were the leaders of Israel at this time. The people that Yahusha chose to follow him were the people who are following the doctrines of the Pharisees, y'all. We don't be thinking about that.
Wow.
Yahusha even said, man, the Pharisees sit at Moses' seat.
Wow.
Do what they say.
That's it.
He said that. He said, don't do what they do, though. Do what they say, but don't do what they doing. Because they were moving, hypocritically. They wasn't really practicing what they was preaching a lot of times.
Wow.
But they were teaching the truth. Now, the Sadducees is something different, but we ain't going to get into that right now. But there's something different with that. Because for some reason, wasn't nobody really, not of the people Yahusha chose, wasn't none of them really like moving in the ways of the Sadducees like that. Remember, it said that the Pharisees believed in the resurrection.
That's right.
They ain't believe that. So that something was off with the Sadducees.
Right.
Verse 5, let's go.
Verse 5. But some of the sect of the Pharisees who believed rose up, saying, it is necessary to circumcise them and to command them to keep the law of Moshe.
Con. So the Pharisee, with his background, he was like, oh no, they need to circumcise them and to command them to keep Torah. This was a big argument. I probably would have been on that side too. Like, nah, you should definitely be keeping Torah. Like, you know, this was not an easy thing. So they went all the way up. We're not gonna read the whole chapter, but they went all the way up They went all the way up to the top. They had to travel a long way to get there too. Went to Jerusalem, try to figure this out. And we're going to look at the conclusion of the matter, though. Because the conclusion of the matter is important because this is what it takes to get on the ark. So let's go to verse. Start with verse 14.
Acts chapter 15, verse 14. Simeon has declared how Elua at first visited the Gentiles to take out of them a people for his name.
So it's really visited the nations to take out of them a people for his name. That's you. Keep going.
And with this, the words of the prophets agree, just as it is written. After this, I will return and will rebuild the tabernacle of Dawood.
See? Yeah, that's you. Keep going.
Which has fallen down. I will rebuild its ruins, and I will set it up, so that the rest of mankind may see Yahuwah, even all the nations
So
who are
that
called.
the rest of mankind may seek Yahuwah. Keep going.
Even all the Gentiles who are called by my name, says Yahuwah, who does all these things. Known to Elua from eternity are all his works. Therefore I judge that we should not trouble those from among the Gentiles who are turning to Elua, but that we write to them to abstain from things polluted by idols.
All right. Now listen to this. To do what?
Abstain from things polluted by idols.
All right. Go to Leviticus 17 real quick. I want y'all to see this. And start with verse 1.
Leviticus.
Start with verse 3.
Leviticus chapter 17, verse 3. Whatever man of the house of Yasharal who kills an ox or lamb or goat in the camp, or who kills it outside the camp, and does not bring it to the door of the tabernacle of meeting to offer an offering to Yahuwah before the tabernacle of Yahuwah, the guilt of bloodshed shall be imputed to that man.
Skip to verse 7.
Verse 7. They shall no more offer their sacrifices to demons.
To who?
To demons.
This is about not getting polluted by idols, isn't it? All right, let's go back to Acts 15. Hopefully y'all kept y'all place. I should have told y'all to keep y'all place ahead of time. All right, verse 20, let's get it.
Acts chapter 15, verse 20. But that we write to them to abstain from things polluted to idols.
That's Leviticus 17. Keep going.
From sexual immorality.
Isn't that Leviticus 18? Yes, sir. Y'all see this? Keep going.
From things strangled and from blood.
Okay, go back to Leviticus 17. Hold your place, though. And let's look at verse 10. Leviticus 17, verse 10.
Leviticus 17, verse 10. And whatever man of the house of Yasharal, or of the strangers who dwell among you, who eats any blood.
Who eats what?
Who eats any blood, I will set my face against that person who eats blood, and I will cut him off from among his people.
Verse 11.
For the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it to you upon the altar to make atonement for your souls.
All right, go back to Acts 15. Verse 20 again.
Acts chapter 15, verse 20. But we write to them to abstain from things polluted by idols, from sexual immorality, from things strangled, and from blood.
Man, from things strangled. I forgot about that. That's Leviticus 19. That's the same Torah portion. Keep going. Keep reading. No, don't go back. Keep reading Acts 15.
Yes, sir. Verse 21. For Moshe has had throughout many generations those who preach him in every city, being read in the synagogues every Shabbat.
Hallelujah. So, this Torah portion is all about what it takes to get on the ark. We know that because even in the Brit Hadashah, when they had a debate on what's needed to get on the ark, they mentioned pretty much the general principles that are in this Torah portion, didn't they? Many. But they say you don't got to keep Torah. But the thing that they say that you need to do to get on the ark was that's Torah. Where in the New Testament does it talk about not eating blood or not eating things strangled? Or being polluted? That's Torah. This was about what is the need, what's needed in order to be saved.
That's right.
I don't know how we missed this back in the church days.
That's wild.
For real. For real. So let's go to so what this is showing is that getting in the ark is also related to a birthing and a conception too. Getting into the ark is related to a birthing and a conception as well. That's why Yom Kippur is like a conception that's happening, a seed planting. That's why you see those things happening. Pesach and Yom Kippur are very closely related to each other. Remember the Melachim talked about that. On Yom Kippur, you are to afflict your souls. What do you do by doing that? You fast, right? On Pesach, what do? You can't eat an 11. That's a type of a fast. Yeah. On Yom Kippur, it's about being covered from the calamity coming on you. It's about being atoned for and covered so that you won't be killed. Pesach is about being covered so that you won't be affected by the calamity that's coming. We know that, right? The destroyer. Come door to door, they put the blood on the lamb. That's what Pesach is all about. They're very closely related to each other, man. And in Yom Kippur, the Rosh or the head or the high priest had to go inside the veil, had to be inside the womb, inside the house. Pesach, what happens? Everybody, you put the blood on the doorpost and you stay inside the house. The Roshim, so they can pass over. It's a lot of correlations. Pesach, you put the blood on the doorpost. Yom Kippur, you sprinkle blood around the altar, the door of which is a doorpost in a sense. It's a portal. The list goes on and on. So Yom Kippur is like the high priest goes into the belly of the. I'm walking this on purpose. Yom Kippur is like the high priest is going into the belly, to the womb of the tabernacle. That's the midst of the tabernacle. On Noah's Ark, Noah is like he went into the midst of the boat, the belly of the boat. We said those are all related to a birthing. So Noah was in the belly of the boat, right? And then once it was time for the waters to recede, that was like the birth of a nation. The birthing happened when they got off of the ark. And Yahuwah started all over with them. A shift happened. In Leviticus 12, let's read Leviticus 12 real quick. Let's go there real fast. Almost done, y'all. Let's go there real quick. It's only 7, 8 verses. So so it goes into the laws of birthing. Let's go. Let's get it. Start with verse 1.
Leviticus chapter 12, verse 1. Then Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Yasharah, saying, If a woman has conceived and born a male child, then she shall be unclean 7 days. As in the days of her customary impurity, she shall be unclean. And on the 8th day, the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised.
Oh, so circumcision is related to a birthing, isn't it? It's interesting that the whole argument started over circumcision in Acts 15. Very, very interesting. Let's skip to verse 6.
Leviticus chapter 12, verse 6. When the days of her purification are fulfilled, whether for a son or a daughter, she shall bring to the priest a lamb of the first year as a burnt offering, and a young pigeon or a turtle dove as a sin offering, to the door of the tabernacle of meeting. Then he shall offer it before Yahuwah, and make atonement for her, and she shall be clean from the flow of her blood. This is the Torah for her who has borne a male or a female.
Verse 8.
And if she is not able to bring a lamb, then she may bring 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, one as a burnt offering and the other as a sin offering.
So you have 2 birds that are associated with the birthing, right? And we know that the birthing is associated with making it into an ark, right? So now we're seeing that there's 2 birds associated with the ark, which makes sense of why with Noah's ark, when it was time for the birthing to happen, when it was time for him to get off the ark, you saw a situation that happened with 2 birds. Y'all remember the story? We don't have to go there again, do we? Or if we need to, we will. Okay. There's 2 birds associated with that. Now, what I want us to look at is Jonah. Because Jonah was the same thing. It was about getting on the ark. Jonah was on a ship. Y'all read the Jonah story if y'all not familiar with it. I'm just going to summarize it for time. But it's a very short book. I think it might be like 3 or 4 chapters or something, if I remember right. It's very short. Jonah was on a ship. He was trying to run away from Yahuwah. He was a prophet of the Most High. The Most High gave him a word to speak. He didn't want to do it. So he thought he was wise. Let me just go the opposite way of what I'm supposed to do. So he got on the ship. And basically, the ship went crazy in the middle of the ocean. The ship was about to basically crash, sink. The people on the ship were like, man, they knew something wasn't right. There's somebody on here that's causing judgment on us. They couldn't figure it out, so they actually cast the lots and fell on Jonah. Jonah was like, yeah, it's me. So he basically got thrown off the ship in the middle of the ocean. He should have died, right? You're talking about in the middle of a storm in the ocean. He got thrown off the ship. He didn't have no life jacket. He didn't have anything on him. So this is basically, he should have got killed by the waters, just like what happened in Noah, when all those people got killed by the flood waters, right? But something interesting happened. He ended up in the belly of a fish, of a dog, Dalet Gimel. Dalet Gimel, a fish having access to something, the door to something that's moving. The door that's something that's rising, that's moving. In the belly of the fish, he was preserved. Actually, not only was he preserved, that saved his life. He was preserved from the calamity that was supposed to happen to him. You see what I'm saying? That was the ark. He was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. And then the fish spewed him out on dry land. That's a birthing. He came out of the womb onto dry land. That's a birthing. Ain't that what happened when a baby's birth? And y'all know what's associated with birthing is the dove, right? When a baby is birthed, he's supposed. When the baby is birthed, when the purification time is up, they're supposed to go before Yahuwah and offer up a dove. A dove and a lamb. It's still a dove regardless. But if you can't afford the lamb, then you can do 2 doves. But regardless, a dove is required for birthing. Now, some people had that mixed up and thought, well, that's only if you can't afford the lamb. No, regardless. Yonah's name means dove in Hebrew, y'all. This is solidifying that was an ark. It's solidifying it. His name means ark. That's what, I mean, dove. The Hebrew word for dove is Yonah, or Jonah in English. So Yahusha said, just like the Son of Man will be. The Son of Man, now we see what that means. Son of Adam would be. He didn't say, just as Jonah was in the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights, so would a Messiah be. He didn't say that time, did he? He said, just so the Son of Man will be. The Son of Adam. So that was about resurrection. That was about being preserved through the judgment. That was about a birthing. That was about making it on the ark. That's the Hebrew word for Yonah. That's Yod Wav Nun Hey. The dove. It's the power that is injected into the seed. It's the power that is injected into the seed. That's like a nail. It's a power that's injected into the seed by the Ruach HaKodesh.
Hallelujah.
It's power that's injected into the seed by the. It's power that's injected into the seed by the Ruach.
That's amber.
This is what we've been seeing. This is what we've been seeing. That's why when we had a birthing happen on Pesach, that was on Shabbat, there was major injections that was happening that same day.
Right.
It's the power that's injected into the seed by the Ruach HaKodesh. How do you think babies are born?
That's right.
Something has to be injected into the seed for a baby to be born, right? That's the dove. That's the sign of Yonah, the dove. That's why a dove has to be offered up, man. A dove has to be offered up. The dove is all about the ark. That's why even when the Noach story, when the dove came back, he came back with an olive tree, olive branch, I mean. You want to do all these things. These are the things you got to do in order to make it onto the ark, y'all. You got to be kin. You got to be tamim. Vayikra 19, verse 17, it says, you shall not hate your brother in your heart. Some people didn't make it into the ark because they hated their brother. You shall not hate your brother in your heart. You shall surely rebuke your neighbor and not bear sin because of him. That word for rebuke literally means rebuke or reprove or correct. That's why I have to do that. These are the things from the Torah. These are the things that it takes to get onto the ark. There's reproof, correction that has to happen. We need it. If it doesn't happen, you could bear sin because of that. Now it's on me. You see what I'm saying? You shall not take vengeance, nor bear any grudge against the children of your people, but you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am Yahuwah. Isn't that interesting how that's associated with loving your neighbor? Reprove, correction, rebuke. That's actually how you love your neighbor. Ain't that crazy?
That's right. That's how we get on the ark.
So yeah, we had people who, I don't think there's nobody here praise to the Most High, but who wasn't able to make it because they could not take this. This is something I have to do. I don't got a choice. I never was into having to rebuke or correct nobody. I never was into that. I was always thinking, well, that's on you. I mean, that's you know. The Most High showed me clearly, no, it's not. And I learned my lesson and made sure I was on top of that moving forward. There were times where stuff happened and I literally thought it was on them. They was the one tripping. The Most High was like, no, it's on you. Because during this time, you should have said something. During that time, you should have said something. Like, oh, snap. You shall surely rebuke your neighbor and not bear sin because of him. You will bear sin because of him if we don't do that. And that's how you love your neighbor. You shall not take vengeance nor bear any grudge against the children of your people, but you shall love your neighbor as yourself. That's Ahava. And that's real. Because you got to think about the people think about your children. Think about your sons. I look at y'all like my children, man. And I love my children. I love my children. So if I see them doing something crazy, I'm going to be on them. Y'all saw how I did Jay just earlier. All right. So, real quick, and we wrapping it up right now. Real quick, wrapping it up. Because we have people who, I don't know why they couldn't take that. They couldn't take being corrected. Go to Proverbs 3, verse 12. Just to drive this home, just in case y'all might be questionable, you might be like, well, nah, you shall love your neighbors, talking about the not taking vengeance and bearing any grudge. Yeah, it's talking about that too, but this is about loving your neighbor too. All of this. But you might be like, well, yeah, that's not clear. I don't know about that. Proverbs 3, verse 12.
Proverbs chapter 3, verse 12. For whom Yahuwah loves, he corrects.
Say it again.
For whom Yahuwah loves, he corrects. Just as a father the son in whom he delights.
Come on, don't get no clearer than that. Y'all know that Hebrew word for correct is the same one for the rebuke right here? It's the same exact Hebrew word, same thing. Same thing, just look it up. Give me Proverbs 9 verse 8. I went through this.
Proverbs chapter 9, verse 8. Do not correct a scoffer, lest he hate you.
That's it. So those are the people who can't take correction. That's what I'm starting to realize. If you can't take correction, it's probably because you're a rebel or a scoffer. Keep going.
Lest he hate you. Rebuke a wise man, and he will love you.
It's very clear. I tried to, because it was hard for me to just call a spade sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, because, you have relationships and you love people. You're just like, man, I just said one little thing because they was doing this and now they hot. They feelings, they mad. And they go like, man, what if they really do something and I had to say something? They go like, man. but it's because we didn't know until they was removed. I didn't know for sure until they was removed, but then you see you see it for sure. Dang, that's a full-blown scoffer. Doggone. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, Proverbs 12:1. Let's do it.
We ain't caught.
Let's do it. Proverbs 12:1.
Look, I'm already there. That's Ben Christian's verse every day. Proverbs chapter 12, verse 1. Whoever loves instruction loves knowledge, but he who hates correction is stupid.
Man, Solomon, wild, man. It don't get no clearer than that, man. It don't get no clearer than that, man. Let's do one more. Proverbs 28:23. Proverbs 28:23.
Proverbs 28, verse 23. He who rebukes a man will find more favor afterward than he who flatters with the tongue.
That's huge, y'all. Cause that's something I dealt with. I just wanted to, they didn't want nobody to be mad at you, you know what I'm saying? So you just tell people what they want to hear. That's what flattery is. You just telling people what they want to hear all the time. You never really being straightforward and if they breath stink, you just you being honest. Now, husbands, dwell with wisdom now, though. Your wife come, hey, how does this shirt look? Oh, man, you look crazy. Your wife trying to talk to you, and you like, oh, man, hold up. You need to go, your breath stink. No, that's not what we saying. You dwell with wisdom. But flattery is more like you lying to people really, because you don't want to hurt their feelings, or you want to be liked. You don't want to be looked at in a negative light. That's the difference. Vayikra 19, verse 23. When you come into the land and have planted all kinds of trees for food. When you come into the land and have planted all kinds of gardens. When you come into the land and you have planted all kinds of crops. Then you shall count their fruit as uncircumcised. 3 years it shall be as uncircumcised to you, it shall not be eaten. But in the 4th year all of its fruit shall be kodesh, a praise to Yahuwah. And in the 5th year you may eat its fruit, that it may yield to you its increase. I am Yahuwah. All praise to the Most High, for we are going into the 5th year as an assembly. Praise Yahushua. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah. Praise Yahushua. So the word for foreskin is arla, arla. That's the word for foreskin. And it's basically about a head experiencing the ruach by being yoked. It's about a head experiencing the ruach by being yoked. It's about a head experiencing the ruach by being yoked. And the way to do that is through circumcision. That's why, just think about it, y'all. You can't yoke a head. You can't yoke an ox unless it's circumcised or castrated. It's about a head experiencing the ruach by being yoked. That's what the circumcision does. Being circumcised, that's what enables you to be able to receive correction. That's what enables you to be able to do all the things to receive the Ruach. It's about being yoked to Yahuwah, yoked to Yahusha. Remember what we talked about the figs and how that fruit was related to even reproductive parts? So it's interesting that they're using reproductive part language for the fruit. They call it a fruit uncircumcised. So that's proving what I was talking about back then. How that lines up. You see what I'm saying? They're using the uncircumcised. That's language that's for a male reproductive part, but they're using that same language for fruit. So I thought that was very interesting. Vayikra 20, verse 22. You shall therefore keep all my statutes. So remember, the statutes is like the law surrounding like time a lot of time. That's why we went on and we gathered for first fruits. That's why we came back and we gathered for the high Shabbat. Those are the statutes. That's how you get on the ark. And all my judgments and perform them. Look, that the land where I am bringing you to dwell may not what? What? That the land where I am bringing you to dwell. You must, this is how you get in the ark. By doing all these things, keeping the commandments so that the land does not vomit you out. So that means if the land can vomit you out, then that means that you're in the belly of the land.
That's it. That's right.
You can only vomit out what's in the belly. So then now that's using language that's showing that the land is a type of an ark. Y'all see what I'm saying? That the land where I'm bringing you to dwell may not vomit you out. And you shall not walk in the statutes of the nation which I'm casting out before you. For they commit all these things. Why do you think Yahuwah allowed us to drove out a whole principality up there? Why do you think he allowed us to do that? Because they're guilty. It's not just because we're so great and powerful. No, Yahuwah, we're moving as the body of Yahusha doing his works on the earth. For they commit all these things, and therefore I abhor them. So when it says all these things, we didn't read the whole chapter, but it's like basically all the sexual immorality things in Leviticus 18 is mentioned again in Leviticus 20. And he said, Yahuwah's basically saying, don't do those things because I abhor the natures and I'm casting them out of this land for that. That's why nature has been responding to us. Because the land has expelled one thing and bring it in like, all right. Verse 24, but I have said to you, you shall inherit their land, and I will give it to you to possess. A land flowing with milk and honey. I am Yahuwah your Elohim, who has separated you from the peoples. A land flowing with milk and honey. Milk is Torah. Honey is the words of Yahuwah. It says your words are sweet as honey. Okay, go ahead.
So about what they were just saying about the milk and honey. Those are actually these trees, and they had like this syrup kind of stuff inside of them.
Yeah, that's the sap. Come on. So let's go to Revelation 3, and we're going to end it here. All right, y'all ready? Revelation 3. All right, let's get it, Benayahu.
Revelation chapter 3, verse 14. And to the Moloch of the assembly of the Laodiceans, write, these things says the Amen, the faithful and true witness, the beginning of the creation of Elua. I know your works, that you are neither cold nor hot. I could wish that you were cold or hot. So then, because you are lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will vomit you out my mouth.
I will what?
I will vomit you out my mouth.
Oh, snap. Do y'all see this? So for Yahushua to be able to vomit out this assembly, that's showing that this assembly is inside the belly of Yahushua. Do y'all see this? You can't vomit out something that's not inside your belly. So this makes a whole different understanding of we being in Yahushua. We being in him and he being in us. See, when you join the Babylon, you in the belly of the beast. You in the belly of Babylon. But then when Yahushua redeemed you and he purchased you, you become a part of his body. It's like as if you are in him. You're in his belly now. Y'all see what I'm saying? Maury Manu kept saying, consume me, consume me. When he was praying the other day. You being consumed by Yahushua, you in his belly, man. That's how you make it on the ark. That's why I can't remember what church it was in Revelation 3. Well, he's talking about, man, as long as you hold close to me, you're going to be saved from the calamity that's coming. As long as you keep doing what you're doing, moving righteousness. It's in one of the churches. I can't remember. I think of Philadelphia. Church of Philadelphia. But, yeah, I went way over time, so I'll end it here. But I'll praise it to the Most High. Praise Yahuwah and Yahusha.
Now we got Kepha. He said Yahusha was an ark to the disciples in a sense. Judas ran out of the ark. Yeah, see, and that's what you were saying earlier about how people who hate correction, because that's why Judas ran out of the ark. Because it's John 12:4-8. He says, but one of the disciples, Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, who would betray him, said, why was this fragrant oil not sold for 300 denarii and given to the poor? This he said, not that he cared for the poor, but because he was a thief and had the money box, and he used to take what was put in it. But Yahusha said, let her alone. That's how you knew he was Hebrew. Man, let alone now. Let alone. That's actually one word, let alone. She has kept this for the day of my burial. For the poor you have with you always, but me you do not have. And then if you read the same account in Matthew, he actually leaves that house and goes and sells them. Go and get his 300 denarii to sell Yahusha. All because he wasn't content. That's the people that lead the ark. Those who can't be content with Yahuwah's portion for them. They out of there. You can mark them. And then Kepha said, what's a Molech? So Molech. How you say it? Molech? Molech. Molech, that was one of the false Elohim. A lot of people say that's the origin of Santa Claus. So the way that you would worship Molech is you would actually offer up your children to the fire as a sacrifice, and then you would interpret the screams of the burning child as prophecy. So a Molech is one of them fallen ones that presented themselves as a being of light.
Yeah, because I was going I didn't have time to get on that, but what verse was that on? Leviticus 18:21. So it says basically Leviticus 18:21, and you shall not let any of your descendants pass through the fire to Molech, nor shall you profane the name of your Allure. I am Yahuwah. And so another aspect of that is so the Most High is watching how you're moving with your children. That's what this is showing, this Torah precept. No, for real, like this is about making it on the ark. Like even if you doing through, but you allowing your children to pass through the ways of the other nations, you will miss the ark over the way you doing moving with your children. See what I'm saying? We thinking, you know, passing through the fire of Molech, that they literally got to be walking on fire coals or offered up, you know, and being killed for Molech. But no, I submit you can actually offer your child up to Molech by dedicating them to basketball and sports. Nah, you know, I'm a Sir Yahuwah, but nah, you don't got to keep Shabbat because you got a game. You know, man, nah, go ahead. Nah, I need you because you're supposed to be making it to D1, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, don't worry about Shabbat or none of that. You know what I'm saying? Just, man, do what you got to do. Oh, you got practice on the feast days? Okay, well, just go to practice. You know, go do what you got to do. Do your games. And then there's still 2 days left for Sukkot after all, you know, and then come then.
Mushal, you killing our Yelp rating, man. You killing the Yelp rating.
I'm just using sports just because that's the most common one. That's a tough one for, because most Hebrews, man, that's a tough one. Because most Hebrews, your children are gonna be pretty athletic. You know what I'm saying? And so everything surrounding that industry though is idolatry. Is idolatrous. What dude do you know in the NBA who is serving Yahuwah? Like no one ever, right? No one that I ever known. I remember one story. I remember what's his name, Reggie White? Yeah, Reggie White. After he got out of the NFL, he started trying to keep Torah and all that stuff. But they make it to where you cannot, they do that on purpose because they want the sports to be your allure. It's idolatry. So they make it to where you really can't serve no other allure if you're in the NBA or something. You're really not going to be able to serve no other allure. No, you're not. They want that to be your allure. Championship Saturday. That's the only way you're going to make it into this NBA. We were talking about the NBA earlier. Now we're going to really talk about the NBA. We was comparing it to Yahuwah because it's very comparison. It's just like here. You ain't going to be able to be in here unless you're serving Yahuwah. There's no way you're going to make it in here if you're not serving Yahuwah, right? It's the same thing with the NBA. There's no way you're going to make it in the NBA if you're not serving Yahuwah. It's not possible. I don't care if you can dunk from that side of the building to that side of the building. You can't juggle that and try to keep Shabbat and the feast days and do all that. You're going to be breaking all the Shabbats. You're going to be breaking Yom Kippur. You're going to be doing all those things. So anyway, that's just I wanted to point that out. I'm glad. I think that was a Ruach why Ben brought that out because I was in my mind to bring that out. But hallelujah, praise Yahushua.
I was just laying back on that a little bit because I was talking to a Ben and I was kind of explaining to him like he trying to go D1, but the only way that you could do that, but you're not gonna be able to do it. The only way that you would be able to do it is if you have in your mind like I'm going to school to build the kingdom for Yahuwah, but I'm using this to do it. But like 9 times out of 10, when you trying to go D1, your mindset is I'm going to this school so I can go pro. You ain't never gonna like go to be like I'm gonna use football to build the kingdom. No, ain't no child thinking that. Ain't no like I wasn't thinking that. Nobody's thinking that. And that's kind of where where I had to cut because Z, man, I was having to like contact people on on Shabbat to try to like, cause all of his games fall on that, but Yahuwah was showing me like I'm trying to use his talents for something that he don't need to be using them for. Like he threw like any one of us like in here that pick up anything, we gonna be through better just cause it's in our DNA. But like it was just like dang, bro, like real talk, man, like not even boosting. Z he 12 and he was playing, but I took him off this other team because he got in trouble. But he's 12 playing playing with high schoolers, like in baseball. But Yahuwah had showed me like, yeah, bro, he can't. At this rate, he gonna get that head like, oh yeah, I need to do this. So it had to be like cut.
Man, that's powerful, man. That's powerful. Give Benai, y'all got something? Go ahead. Okay.
Who is next though? The Ark of the Covenant. Battery's about to die. Check. Oh, it's about to go out on me, ain't it? All right. Benny Yahoo. The Ark of the Covenant also has 2 birds or cherubim associated with it. God. He said fish.
Right? And then I wanted to touch on one more thing real quick. That was, it died? Okay, calm. It's due. So when Mushal had brought that out about Noah in Genesis 5:29, it said that he called his name Noah, saying, "This one will comfort us concerning our work and the toil of our hands, because the ground which Yahuwah has cursed." So when I looked up that comfort was Nacham, right? It's almost like repent. Repent, it says console oneself, repent, regret, comfort, be comforted. So he was like a high priest, so to speak, because that's what Aharon did. He was like gonna bear the iniquity of the nations. So that's what Noah did. The nations was like, he's the one that's going to comfort us concerning this curse, so to speak. Concerning this curse, so to speak, right? And then also, what was so special about Aharon and his sons? It was their genealogy. It was their genealogy, because it was only Aharon and his sons that could do the work or the priestly work. Yeah. And they were called to be Tamim as well. So just like Noach was Tamim, right? He had his genealogies. His genealogy was in a certain bloodline, and he was going to bear this iniquity, so to speak. He was basically like a high priest going into the holy, into the Kodashim. Come on, hallelujah.
So now we got Shimshon. Yonah found grace. Man, I know why you said that too. I had remembered. Yeah, he was in the belly of the fish. Yeah, that was deep. That was deep. The power injected into Yahusha when he was immersed. The uncircumcised. Yeah. Yep.
Hey, y'all too loud.
Kiefer. I've been seeing a lot of doves recently, a little bit before Pesach and after. saw too. Man, hallelujah. I think that's actually a significant sign.
Yeah. Also, y'all remember when I told y'all that was in Purim when I had that encounter with all them animals? That's when those Most High was first showing me that the lamb was responding to us. And remember, I told y'all when I got to the end, it was a dove that landed on the power line. It was that turtle, man. Then I saw that snake. Then I got to the end, and oh snap, real though. That might be something to that, fam. Oh yeah, I'll pray to the Most High.
And then Keefer put scoffer equals narc. Hezekiah said it'll be 3 years since Jungle started this summer. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that actually. We're gonna talk about that because there's been a lot that went on in Jungle, especially over Pesach and over there was another feast day where there was heavy impartations. Purim maybe, I can't remember. And then Benny Yahoo said it was Purim. You said, Ben. And then I put 1 Peter. It says, "For the Messiah also suffered once for sins, the just for the unjust, that he might bring us to Elua, being put to death in the flesh, but made alive by the Ruach, by whom also he went and preached to the Ruachot in prison, who formerly were disobedient, when once the divine long suffering waited in the days of Noah, while the ark was being prepared, in which a few, that is 8 souls, were saved through water." There's really what this made me think about is how some of the visions that were had, and then we entered into the ark. So for us to enter into the ark, that means that destruction is coming. How long did it take Noah to build the ark? Do we know? Let me see. Yeah. Told her. 340 something. Told her. 100. Is that a verse or is that a calculation? Either one's fine. I just want to know. We could calculate it, but no, that verse in Peter made me think about, like, man, all the people, what was they doing? What were they doing while Noah was building the ark? Because it says the divine long suffering waited in the days of Noah while the ark was being prepared. And there's just something to us entering into the ark at Pesach, covering from destruction. But anyway, I just put that in there to consider. Some stuff I got to think about. Zakin Yubo. If you can't be corrected, you can't enter the ark. You'd be better off not even to start. So if you don't want leadership getting on your behind, put your faith to action so everything will turn out fine. Don't let your emotions get in the way. So get your stuff together because the Most High don't play. Mic drop.